What's going on, everybody? It's Aurora, coming at you with a brand new video, and it looks like we just got support revealed for Earthbound Immortal of all archetypes, which feels a little out of the blue, especially considering just how many cards they got here. But this coming out of Animation Chronicles over in the OCG, meaning that we'll probably get it in our upcoming Battles of Legend if we get it this year. And I just think it's very interesting because Earthbound Immortal has always been an archetype that's just kind of been bad. Like, Malefic is basically the same thing, but significantly better. Like, certain cards from the archetype, like, I think it's, like, both the birds have seen success in Fluanderies and stuff like that. Like, they've had some niche play here and there, but not the entire deck as a whole. So the archetype's never really been good, but considering they're getting 9 cards here today out of Animation Chronicles, which is a lot for an archetype to get for wave of support, this is like double what most archetypes get. Let's just hope that they actually do something. I don't want to waste any more time though, let's go ahead and get started. Starting us off, we have Earthbound Prisoner Groundkeeper. So I know most of them aren't even considered Earthbound Immortals unless they're specifically the high level ones. So just they're Earthbound Immortal support, but they have like Earthbound as their main part of the name. I don't know. But this is a level 1 Dark Fiend tuner with 300 attack and defense. Says you can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. If it's normal or a special summon, you can special summon 1 level 5 or lower Earthbound monster from your deck or graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except fusion and synchro monsters. Yeah, that's right, they're getting fusion monsters. They've always had like a pseudo synchro theme. I think it's, God, which one is it? I don't know which one it is, but you're supposed to summon it off of like it's the sun and the moon ones, the Ascator and the Supe or whatever. And it says Earthbound monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects while there is a card in the field zone. I mean, this just seems pretty damn good. I mean, on summon, summoning any Earthbound level 5 or lower from deck or grave except for itself, kind of fire already. And then the second effect also giving you some mad protection on some already really strong monsters if they can actually hit the board. Also pretty nice. Next up is Earthbound Prisoner Stone Sweeper. This is a level 5 Dark Fiend with 1600 attack and defense. So you can only special summon it with the first effect once per turn, and you can only use the second effect once per turn. If there's a card in the field zone, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you can discard this card to add 1 level 3 or lower Fiend tuner from your deck to your hand. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except fusion and synchro monsters. This seems like another really good card. I mean, this just free tribute fodder or synchro material or even fusion material onto the board just by having a card in the field zone from either field. And then the second effect can add not just the first one, I'm pretty sure it also adds this one, right? Yeah, this other one, which is for some reason after. This is a level 3 Dark Fiend tuner as well. But you can also add things from other archetypes, like maybe Infernity or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work with other archetypes because it does lock you into fusion and synchros, but just take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. But I think this is also a really good support card. For the final main deck monster, we have Earthbound Prisoner Linewalker. This is a level 3 Dark Fiend tuner with 800 attack and 1100 defense, so you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. If it's normal or special summon, you can add 1 Earthbound Prison or Harmonic Synchro Fusion from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Both of these cards, I believe, are brand new because they're getting what looks to be a new field spell and a new, is it a quick play? I'm not sure. We'll get to it in a little bit. And if you control a level 6 or higher Earthbound, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 opponent's effect monster, special summon from the extra deck, shuffle it into the deck, then your opponent can special summon 1 monster with the same name from their extra deck. So this is interesting because the first one, I'm pretty sure, like the first effect's probably really good. Just free on summon, add one of the new cards, which are probably pretty good because the field spell is new, and a new field spell would be really nice for the archetype. The other ones kind of suck. But the second effect definitely intrigues me. I'm wondering if any of the new things or any of the old things even have an effect in case your opponent special summons specifically from the extra deck, because otherwise doing this doesn't really do much, especially if that thing triggers on summon. Like, Kid Callis triggers on just special summon, right? I mean, that's just an example. I know the card's banned, but yeah, so this card's either just okay or really, really good depending on the situation. Next, we have their first of 2 fusion monsters out of this way. We have Earthbound Servant Geo Griffin. Is a level 8 Dark Fiend fusion with 2800 attack and 1200 defense. It requires 2 Earthbound monsters, and you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can add 1 field spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand. If a monster is special summoned from your opponent's extra deck, you can destroy as many of their monsters special summoned this turn as possible, and if you do, burn them for 800 per monster destroyed by this effect. There we go. Okay, this makes a lot more sense with Linewalker's effect. So basically, the first effect is just going to set up all of your Earthbound plays, especially if the new field spell is really, really good. And then the second effect is just baiting your opponent with Linewalker, or just being a decent disruption. I mean, all special summon monsters get destroyed and they take 800 per. Keep in mind, you also have a lot of effects that burn in the archetype and a lot of really big beaters, most of which, if not all, can attack directly, right? Am I tripping? Yeah, it looks like all of them can basically attack directly, so you're going to be dealing a lot of damage here. It also only requires 2 Earthbounds, period, not Earthbound Immortals, not 8 or higher or anything. The next one probably will require something like that. But overall, this seems pretty damn nice. Hopefully the fusion spell's good. And their other fusion, this Gandora-ass looking MF, is Earthbound Servant Geo Lobolos, or Earthbound Servant Geo Gracia. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Is a level 10 Dark Fiend fusion with 3000 attack and 1800 defense. It requires 1 Earthbound fusion and 1 Earthbound synchro, so pretty hard to bring out, so it better have a good effect. It says it must be fusion summoned, and you can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. At the start of the damage step, if it battles a monster, change that monster's attack and defense to 0. If an opponent's monster is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy all cards they control, and if this face-up card leaves the field by your opponent, you can special summon 1 Earthbound monster from your deck or extra deck. Okay, so this card has some pros and some cons. So, pros, I mean, turning something to 0 and punching them for a basically free 3k is really nice. Nuking the opponent's board is always really cool, especially in combination with your other cards in the archetype, namely Geo Kraken. And then the third effect, if it just leaves period, you just summon any Earthbound from deck or extra. This includes the fusions, synchros, the regular Earthbounds, and the Earthbound Immortals. The cons, though, are that it requires a fusion and a synchro. So this might be easy. It might be like a Dynamorphia Frenzy kind of situation where you can use stuff from your extra deck. Not too sure just yet. But it could also end up being really difficult and make this card, only okay. We'll just have to see. Because next up, we have Earthbound Servant Geo Gremlin. I love that name. This is a level 6 Dark Fiend Synchro with 2000 attack and 1000 defense. It requires 1 Dark Tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters. You can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. During the main phase quick effect, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Your opponent chooses one of these effects for you to apply. Destroy that monster or gain life points equal to that monster's attack. During the battle phase quick effect, you can fusion summon 1 Earthbound fusion from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials mentioned on it from your hand, field, and or graveyard. So this is probably the easiest way to not only fuse into Gracia, but actually trigger the effect as well, because you can either gain a lot of life points probably, or at least a good amount, or just destroy your opponent's monster for free. And you have a sort of Muddy Mud Dragon kind of effect. It's just like a quick effect period during the battle phase. So that can end up going into something like Gracia, but it can also make Geo Kraken using your graveyard materials as well. Meaning that if your opponent summons something from the extra deck in that main phase too, they're gonna get their stuff completely nuked. And all you need to summon this is the new level 5 and the level 1. Their other brand new synchro is Earthbound Servant Geo Griffin, 2 nights in a row with a Griffin card. Interesting. This is a level 8 Dark Fiend synchro with 2500 attack and 1500 defense. It requires 1 Dark Tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters, and you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. Quick effect, you can special summon 1 Earthbound monster from your graveyard in defense position, except another Griffin. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck except for fusion and synchro monsters for the rest of the turn. And if this card is destroyed by your opponent, you can destroy 1 card in the field, non-targeting, then inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each Earthbound monster with different names you control and in your graveyard. So this card's pretty interesting because similarly to the level 3, it can either be really good or just alright, because the first effect can revive things like your Geo Kraken, and that's really good because this triggers on special summon, like I mentioned earlier, like Kick Kalos, so you can get a free field spell add as well on top of that. And the second effect is pretty interesting because a non-targeting destruction that can also trigger your Geo Gracia and burn your opponent for a lot of damage probably. That's pretty good, but it does have to be destroyed, not just leaves the field like Geo Gracia does. Not to mention that I'm pretty sure they have other good level 8 synchros they probably want to go into instead, because you're not locked into Darks or Fiends or anything like that. It's just fusions and synchros. You can make things like Baron, Savage Dragon, probably not Savage Dragon, you're not going to go into Lynx or anything like that, but you know what I mean. This card definitely seems like, you're definitely going to play it, of course, but I'm not too sure if it's going to be the star of the extra deck, like something like Gremlin. Next up, we finally have the new field spell, Earthbound Prison. This is, of course, a field spell. It says, when this card is activated, you can target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, and this card gains this effect. Negate that monster's effects. Okay, so you just get a free imperm on activation. During your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Earthbound monster in addition to your normal summon or set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. If this card is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and you have an Earthbound monster on your field and or in your graveyard, have your opponent's life points, and if you do, negate the effects of all face-up cards they currently control until the end of this turn. This is a really bloated field spell. On activation, imperm for completely free. During your main phase, additional normal not only allows you to use your little monsters, but I'm pretty sure a lot of the Earthbound Immortals have benefits if they're tribute summoned instead, right? I'm not too sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, by the way, I have no idea. But if you need to, you can get a tribute summon there. And then having your opponent's life points and negating all of their stuff just by having an Earthbound engrave if it's destroyed, this is stupid. Like, don't get me wrong, at least it's not like also on activation adding like an Earthbound monster from your deck on top of everything else. Like, that'd be crazy. And I'm pretty sure Earthbound still isn't going to be like a dominating deck in the meta, even with all this new support. But wow, this is a really good field spell, and it's now immensely searchable. Finally, we have the new fusion spell. So this is not a quick play spell, I'm tripping, it's just a normal spell. But it is called Harmonic Synchro Fusion. This is a normal spell card that says you can only activate one of it per turn, and you cannot special summon from the extra deck turn you activate it, except fusion and synchro monsters. Send 2 face-up monsters you control to the graveyard, 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner. Special summon 1 fusion monster and 1 synchro monster from your extra deck that can be fusion and synchro summoned using only the sent monsters in the grave as material. I'm sorry, what? You're telling me that by simply having this in hand and the Stone Sweeper and Groundkeeper on board, you can literally get an immediate Geo Griffin. That's crazy. Because remember, you're going to be summoning probably Geo Gremlin and Geo Kraken, because they're just, like, you can go into this off of the level 5 and the level 1, and then you can go into the, the Geo Kraken off of just 2 Earthbounds. So you're getting, on summon, adding a field spell from deck or grave, so you're adding the new one. You're nuking your opponent's board of special summons if they summon from the extra deck. You're getting a pop or a life point gain during the main phase, and during the battle phase, you're fusing into Geo Griffin in order to do all the things that Geo Griffin can do. This is really, really good. Oh, I just realized you don't even need to have both Groundkeeper and the Stone Sweeper. Groundkeeper just summons Stone Sweeper from the deck, so you just get an instant access to this. That is wild. So with that being said, what do I think about this new support? Honestly, this is really, really good. Like, not only are these cards just really solid in general, but they're getting 9 of them. Most archetypes would kill for half of this amount of cards with this quality. Like, all of these just enable your plays for almost completely free. They have some extra deck boss monster plays now instead of just basically, I'm pretty sure, to being prosperity or extra food. You have popping disruption, including mass nukes. You get free bodies from your deck or extra deck off of a lot of these cards. You get a lot of resurrects. You have a really good and really searchable field spell that's awesome going first or second. And you have this absolutely busted normal spell here. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Earthbound is going to be, like I said, tearing up the meta charts or anything like that, but I think that this is a really, really good step in the right direction for the archetype. Like, considering how bad it was before, honestly, I don't even know how many of the originals you're going to even play, except for, like, maybe the, like, the original Line Walker and stuff like that, if it's good. But wow, I'm just completely baffled at how good these are, but I don't know, that's just my opinion. Let me know yours down in the comments below, because that's going to do it for the video. If you liked it, please sure to leave a like, as I'll put this video and the channel into recommended. And if you like this content, you want to see more like it, like the rest of my review series. I try to review every new archetype and every wave of support that comes out. Then perhaps consider subscribing, because I want to go to 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. Not to mention, it supports the channel more than anything else, and it's absolutely free. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Aurora, signing off.